Now, Morocco has rejoined the African Union more than 30 years, having left it 30 years ago, back in 1984. And that was over a dispute about Western Sahara. The reunion is expected to be financially beneficial for the entire union. But of course, not everyone's happy with Morocco's membership, as Arabella Monroe explains.
After 33 years, Morocco's King Mohammed VI has joined the African Union summit for the first time. And for many Moroccans, it's about time.
Morocco should have returned to the African Union ages ago. The current political situation in Africa and the problems encountered by Morocco in the Sahara played a role in the return of Morocco to its former place in order to highlight its leadership over political and economic questions.
Morocco is one of the wealthier countries on the continent, which should help the AU become less reliant on international funding, something it's increasingly keen to do in the face of spreading isolationism in the US and Europe, and a loss of funding through more local conflicts.
Libya used to be a big contributor to the African Union, and since the fall of Muammar Gaddafi in 2011, this has changed. So Morocco can actually step in and become one of the important funders of the AU.
And for Morocco, it opens up investment opportunities across Africa. But there's still a major problem that's unresolved. The Western Sahara is disputed territory, mostly controlled by Morocco since 1976. The area is rich in phosphates and may have untapped oil reserves offshore. A 16-year-long guerrilla war against Morocco by the Algeria-backed Polisario Front ended in 1991. Since then, it's used costly legal and political channels in its quest for independence. And while there are fears that conflict could now reopen, Morocco's readmittance into the AU could be good news.
It's going to be extremely difficult because there are many countries in the AU that opposed Morocco's rejoining the AU, but a majority, 39 states, voted for Morocco to join. So I think the hope is over the longer term that this issue could be resolved.
Representatives from the disputed Western Sahara are also hopeful.
We, as the Sahrawi Republic, welcome this decision. We welcome that Morocco come back to the continental home, sit beside his neighbors and brothers in Sahrawi Republic.
Morocco has a lot to offer the African Union in renewing its economic engagement with the rest of the continent. But if the dispute over the Western Sahara isn't settled, it could turn out to be a costly decision. Arabella Monroe, TRT World.
Well, TRT World's Muhsin Naimi joins me now. Muhsin, you obviously cover this part of the world for us. Let me ask you about why Morocco is so concerned about holding on to Western Sahara. To the casual observer, it's just tons and tons of sand.
Yeah, that's true. It's a desert, but there are two main reasons. One of them is territorial, and the second of them is economical. Morocco sees, Western Sahara as part of his southern provinces, and he doesn't see, any armed faction, especially when they are armed by foreign countries, in a good eye, and it's obviously see them as a threat to the sovereignty of the kingdom. On the economical side, Morocco is the second largest exporter of phosphate after China, which is mostly used in chemical industry and also used in agricultural sector for fertilizer, for example. So this is a huge income from Morocco. It's also a substantial reservoir of natural energy. I'm referring here to solar and wind. And it's also an access to the Atlantic Ocean coast.
Right.
And obviously, this has an impact on fishing and also an impact on potential offshore oil.
Aha, okay. So by joining the African Union, what benefits will Morocco get?
Well, it's a win-win situation, especially at the business level. Morocco is the second largest investor in Africa. Just to give you an idea, in the past 15 years, the investment increased by 13%, reaching $3.7 billion US, and 85% of foreign direct investment of Morocco are in Africa. So that's a big contributor to African economy. We're talking about approximately 800 million US dollar a year, something like this. So Morocco is present in banking, insurance, and also telecommunication. And he also has his airline company, Royal Air Maroc, which is like, landing in more than 27 capitals in Africa, like almost half the country, half the continent. So all this thing makes like Morocco as a very important economical partner for African Union. And by his geographic position, obviously Morocco is a gateway to Europe and vice versa.
Via certain ports like what, Tangier?
Yeah, via Tangier is the closest point to Europe. It's like just a few kilometers separating Morocco from Spain. So that's a huge getaway for Europe too.
So shipping would be made easier and so on.
Shipping and also and also huge infrastructure. And that's I would say this 3 decades of bilateral trade deals is now becoming a multilateral trade deals.
Okay.
And that makes the benefit for both.
Okay. Mohsin and Amy, thank you so much for joining us on Money Talks.